What's up, guys? I wanted to do a quick initial review on this right here. Yes, it is an Altra running shoe. This is the Altra Duo 1.5. Not a whole lot of videos I've seen on this shoe here on YouTube, so I picked up the shoe, relatively inexpensive, and I honestly kind of like it. So we're going to get into it right now. So we're talking about this upper, which is it's a mesh upper, but it's super thin. I mean, it is super thin, lightweight, breathable, so on and so forth. And there's some positives and some negatives about it. And for the one thing that I like how it's lightweight and breathable, and it actually provides a decent lockdown. It doesn't feel like it's strapping your foot down really hard, but it just feels, I'm not gonna lie, it feels like when you get this on right, it almost feels like nothing's on your foot, like nothing's over the top of your foot. Even around the back side of your foot, it almost feels like there's nothing there. It's crazy, to be honest with you. That being said, this tongue that's on here is like, it's paper thin. I mean, it is paper thin. So when you lace this shoe up, like every time you lace this up, you have to like loosen up all of the laces on the eyelet chain, get that tongue to flatten out, because it's not a gusseted tongue. It's a floating tongue that's in there. And you almost have to flatten the whole thing out on the top of your foot before you can tighten everything down. It's a minor inconvenience because it takes you an extra like couple of seconds, maybe a minute to lace your shoe up on your foot, but it's still kind of an inconvenience compared to other shoes where you could just slip your foot in and be good to go. So that's kind of like, that honestly is my like major complaint about this shoe. I'll be completely honest with you. The major complaint about this, the tongue is just super thin. That's really the only negative, I would say huge negative thing that I would say about this particular shoe is that tongue. Otherwise, toe box is, well, let's look at this. So the shoe itself is a foot-shaped, it has a foot-shaped toe box. So it's kind of narrow back here where your heel is at, and then it's got this really wide toe box up here. I actually like that because it allows my toes to splay out naturally. It feels kind of natural on your foot. So you can kind of open up and be comfortable while you're on your run. That's kind of the thing that I like about it. Now, this is an Altra. If you don't know about Altras, Altra is a zero drop shoe. What that means is you don't have any foot drop to it, which means your heel is not going to sit higher than your toes. Your foot is going to sit flat like if you were barefoot standing on the ground. That's how it feels. It does take a little bit of time to get used to a zero drop shoe if you're not used to it already. If you're like me and you basically walk around barefoot around your house all day, or you wear a pair of flip-flops that are zero drop, then it's something that you will kind of feel natural to. But most people, when you talk about shoes, any type of shoes, running shoes, walking shoes, doesn't matter, there's a drop to it. This shoe doesn't have that, and you can kind of feel it. That being said, it's actually, when you get used to it, it's actually really comfortable to run in these shoes. Now, the stack height on this is 32 millimeters. From what I have found, because there's conflicting arguments on this particular shoe, from what I've found is they've said it's 32 millimeters in the front, 32 in the rear. Some are saying 26 in the front, 26 in the rear. I don't have anything to measure it. If I had to take a guess, I would say somewhere between 28 and 30 millimeters in the front and the rear. Now, this does have, it looks like the shoe sits up at an angle, right? This material right here, I can tell you that the midsole goes straight, okay? This material right here almost acts as like a guide rail. So when you land, it kind of helps straighten your foot out and use that as a guide rail to kind of help push you forward. So it's kind of like a stability technique with this shoe. I kind of like it because it does make you feel a little bit more secure when you're running down the road. It's really nice. The one thing I really do like about this is the insole on here, or the sock liner, I guess you could call it. it's like a thick foam, comfortable material in here. It is just, it feels so nice underfoot. It's hard to describe. It's just super comfortable. The material that's around this heel collar is super thin. There's a little bit of padding. You can kind of see with the lighting here. There's a little bit of padding right here. But for the most part, it's just this really thin edge all the way around. I know other runners have had a problem with this area right here cutting into their Achilles tendon. I don't wear no-show socks for running. I wear ankle socks for running, so I haven't had that issue. I haven't had any issues with this heel collar area. That being said, when we're talking about heel counter, there is none. It's it folds over. It's squishy. Like I said, it's a full lightweight material on the top. The shoe doesn't weigh a lot, actually. I think it's only like 8 point something ounces. Like, this is nothing. It weighs nothing in my size. So that's kind of with this shoe where this kind of sits in the, you know, and it's not really a stability shoe. It's not supposed to, but I do have to say it does lock you down really well. It does feel very comfortable, but it almost feels like there is nothing under your foot, which is like pretty amazing and cool. I kind of like it. This midsole material, really nice. Let me go and show you guys here. Yeah. Durometer, kind of, you can see it's pretty squishy. This particular material, I have taken this on like 12 miles, by the way. So I've only had this shoe for a little bit of time and I've already put 12 miles on it. With all of the other shoes that I've had, that kind of says something that I almost like jumping in this shoe. That actually says something right there. It's so super comfortable to run in. And surprisingly, you can pick up the pace in this shoe. It's squishy. Like, I don't know about this midsole too much, but that I think it's called Ego something material that they're using for this midsole, this foam. But it's squishy, but offers a really good energy return. It's the best way I can describe it, because it doesn't bounce like Flight Foam Blast, but it does provide a really nice like shock absorption, but you have some really good push off going forward. So it's hard to describe, but it works. It does have that rocker kind of shape in the front, and you kind of feel that. It's very similar to that of the Asics Evo Ride type of feel when it rocks forward like that. Doesn't have as drastic of a feel like the Evo Ride does, but it still has that rocker kind of motion to kind of help you move forward and not use as much energy, exert as much energy. So it feels really good underfoot. I really like the way that it feels. The transitions through the gait cycle are really comfortable. Once you get used to a zero drop shoe, it's actually really comfortable. Advantages to a zero drop shoe, by the way, from what I've read and from what I can tell just on the few runs that I've taken this on with a few days off in between for different types of running, is it seems like it's actually helping my Achilles and my calf become stronger through the gait cycle, because it's not getting shortened up by sitting at a 10 millimeter drop like it does in most of my Nike shoes. Your foot is sitting flat on the ground, so every time you step forward, it's that little bit more that it stretches my Achilles, it stretches my calf muscle. So when I hop into another pair of shoes, it's almost like, oh wow, like my gait cycle works better. So it's almost like these are kind of training my calf muscles to stretch out and to work better and more efficiently than the other shoes were. That's just how it feels to me. I don't know if there's any scientific data behind it, but that's just how it feels to me. Is it's almost like these shoes are strengthening my calf and my Achilles to be better when I get into another pair of shoes. It's an odd way to describe it, but I'm gonna go with that. Outsole, some exposed EVA midsole right here, which you can see there's a lot of these little pods here to help absorb impact and disperse it so it doesn't hurt as much as when you hit the ground. And you have rubber pods right in the areas where you will see the most wear in your foot. And I do have to say that after like 12 miles, the rubber, it doesn't look like there's any wear. Like I'm looking at this and it really doesn't look like there's any wear at all on those rubber pods. Now there's a little bit on that exposed EVA, which I expect because it's exposed and it's soft material. But as far as these actual rubber pods are concerned, they don't look like there's anything. And you have to remember I'm a heavier runner, so something like this, usually the rubber wears pretty quickly. Like I start seeing wear within within 10 to 15 miles, unfortunately. But in these, I don't see anything, which is just really, really cool. So the shoe doesn't weigh a lot. I think it's like 8. I think mine only weighed 8.6 ounces, so pretty lightweight for my size, which is a 10.5. A lot of that midsole material. It's super comfortable underfoot. And I do have to say that even though it's got all of that midsole, which you would think would be like a easy day type of shoe, something where it's like, oh, kind of slow the pace, you know, I'm gonna throw this out there. This shoe, I can pick up the pace in this shoe. It feels really easy for me to just pick up the pace. It's super flexible. It's super lightweight. It doesn't feel like there's anything on the top of your foot. I feel like I could pick up the pace in this shoe. And I have actually a couple of times. I have picked up the pace a couple of times in this shoe, and it's like, it's super, super comfortable. So what would I use this shoe for? Who is this shoe for? And how would this fit in my rotation? Those are probably the two major questions right here. So this is for somebody that is, I think, training for a long distance run. I think this is where this shoe kind of fits in. You could use this shoe in a long distance competition. I don't think you're going to be the fastest out there, but you could definitely use this shoe in competition. It's snappy, definitely a long distance runner. 10K, half marathon, full marathon. This shoe is going to be amazing for that. It's incredibly durable from what I can tell, based on what I've seen. We're going to see how it goes in 50 miles, see how it looks, see how the midsole feels, see how the upper is in 50 miles. But my initial reaction to the shoe is that I feel like this shoe would fit in to a training shoe for those long distance runs. Basically where I'm kind of going for. That's where I would go for it. And somebody that just enjoys a zero drop shoe. I mean, it's supposed to help make your foot feel more natural, your joints feel more natural than sitting up on a pitch, which pretty much every other shoe has, you know, a 10 mil, 12 mil, 8 mil, whatever. This is zero. So it's built to feel like you're barefoot on the ground, just with a midsole underneath is basically what it is. So your joints should feel better, your hips should feel better, your knees should feel better because it's got that more natural kind of footing to it. Same thing with the toe box. It's natural to be able to splay your toes out, and that's what this toe box does. It kind of gives you that natural feel. So somebody that might enjoy a zero drop shoe, I mean, I that's all I can say is if you enjoy zero drop shoes, this is a pretty good shoe. How is this going to fit into my rotation? Daily trainer, easy day shoe, long run shoe. I would even use this for tempo days. You know, something where you're just kind of keeping the tempo for long periods of times. You know, yeah, I could see that being done as well. Yeah, that's where I see this shoe kind of fitting in. Would I use this for speed workouts? You probably could, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think there's better options out there, because I just don't feel like this would be a speed workout type of shoe. Long distances, I said long distances, so 10K, half marathon, full marathon, definitely. Would you use this on trails? You probably could, but it's definitely a road running shoe, but you could probably use this on trails, light trails as well. But that's really about it. That's kind of where I would go with this shoe. What are my expectations with this shoe? Helping me train, basically. Help me train for a long distance run, hopefully a half marathon. That's what I'm going to be using this shoe to kind of help me for a half marathon run. This is not going to be the shoe that I will use on a half marathon run, but it's going to help me train for a half marathon run. That being said, I wouldn't be opposed to using this in a half marathon or a 10K to kind of just, you know, keep me in the game. So yeah, I think that's where this shoe kind of fits in my rotation, is a daily trainer shoe that I can go long distances. I can do tempo runs, easy days, recovery days, all that kind of stuff with this shoe. And it's good for anybody that just wants to use a zero drop shoe. I feel like it's helping me strengthen my calf and my Achilles tendon. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please click that like and subscribe button. And you know, as always, guys, if you want any more, if you have any questions about Altras and zero drop shoes, you can leave a message. I'll answer it the best that I can, because I'm still learning a lot about Altra shoes. I know a lot about Nike because I've been using Nike for a while, but Altra is something new and I wanted to give them a try. So here we are. And so far, so good. I like it. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll I'll answer them as soon as I can. And guys, as always, as I appreciate it, enjoy the run.